welcome to You Are Human, a show attempting to decode human potential and possibilities by bringing you real stories, real heroes. I believe that I am a storyteller, and today to give me company is another storyteller. As J.K. Rowling said, no stories live unless there's someone to listen. And my guest today has created a platform in the Middle East for those who want to share stories and for those who want to listen. He is a documentary and film director, is the founder of True Story Tent, and is a podcast host and producer. And recently for Ramadan, he is launching his first YouTube series, which showcases elderly people from Oman. Let's welcome Abdullah Al Maawali.
That's a really nice introduction. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing all that you do, because my introduction had nothing fake, nothing made up. It is all him.
I appreciate it.
Abdullah, you and me got introduced to each other because I stalked you on Instagram. Honest confession. And I stalked him for a reason, because when I was starting to do podcasting, I was told about you because you are a host already. And I was confused about what equipment to invest. How can I go about it? And there you were, a girl just, slides into your DM, asks you all sort of questions about podcasting.
Don't say it like that.
Okay, me, a stranger, slides into your DM, asks you all sorts of questions, and you were so kind and patient to attend to them. Not even once, of course, there were times when you were, late in responding, and you actually even apologized to me for it. Are you by core such a kind and helpful soul? Or was it because you loved podcasting so much, you just wanted more people in the one to join, the wagon?
I do love podcasting. I don't think this is necessarily being this kind, so I'm no saint. But it's just a decent thing to do. I know you've thanked me a couple of times for that, and it seems like it means a lot to you, which I'm grateful. But in my mind, it was just I have the knowledge.
Yeah.
If I have the free time, it's just decent. Right. It's a decent thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a decent thing, but because I'm not trying to say that I just had 300 followers at that time. I was definitely not a threat to you in any way.
You mean like a podcast competition? Let's go.
But you were just so, normally people would hesitate, oh, who's coming in? We want the monopoly, or what am I supposed to help? But you were just so out there ready to help.
The podcast scene is so small in Oman and in the Middle East. It's now growing.
True.
By getting more people to come into the podcast scene, it's actually helping everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
Right now, every time I tell someone about a podcast, I have to go into a whole explanation about what a podcast is. Now, if we have multiple people who are in the scene podcasting and other people already did the job of explaining, then my job becomes easier. I'm just follow us on iTunes or whatever. So it's not, there is room for everyone,
True.
And everyone has their own style. Everyone will listen to their own podcast or what they prefer. It's not a helpful way to look at it in me only.
And actually in life these days we see a lot of conflicts and wars happens because there's one person who wants the authority, or one country that wants the power.
Wow, you went direct to politics. Yeah.
I'm just saying it starts from there, right? It starts from us, from within. It could just be two brothers in the house. It could start from there going to international politics. So it's a small seed, right, that grows within us.
Yeah.
But let's not go to politics, because today it's about you.
Go to politics.
Your Instagram handle reads Wandering Brown Guy. Is it a name that you just thought of, let me sound cool? Or is it the wonderful world that has made you wander around? Or do you have a lot of questions in life to which you're seeking answers and are wondering?
Yes.
The last one?
All of them. Well, I want to give a shout out to this really talented filmmaker. His name is Ahmed Al-Maawali. So before I even knew who Ahmed Al-Maawali was, my Instagram account was very similar to his. I never knew who was his M3WALI. I'm M3.WALI because we have the same last names, Maawali. And I was never keen on my username. It's just something that I created. My last name, that's it.
Right.
But people kept sending me messages thinking that I was him, and it kept happening over and over again. And Ahmed Maawali is so talented that he kept growing, and people associated his username with him.
Ah, yes.
So I was like, you know what, bro, you're doing amazingly well. I'm gonna go ahead and change my own username. And at that time, I was traveling quite a bit. I used to travel 1 to 3 months at a time on a consistent basis. Started for many factors or reasons, which maybe we'll get into, maybe not. But during that time, I was a wandering brown guy. And it felt like that because when you solo travel and you go to hostels and all of that, it's very rare that you'll find Arabs there.
Yeah.
So usually I'll be the token brown guy in the group, you know? And I leaned into that identity. It didn't bother me. And the Instagram handle, I guess it's a reflection of that. Yeah, wandering the world. But then when I stopped traveling, I'm still wandering. I mean, I'm still trying to figure things out. I'm constantly interested in learning new things and trying new things. Not all those who wander are lost. Is that how it goes?
Yes, not all those who wander are lost.
I'm kind of lost sometimes, but overall, I'm I'm wandering and I'm having a good time. Yeah.
I think that's what is important, to have a good time.
When you can. Yeah.
I think in general, you can have a good time because I think it's a mindset, right? At the end.
I'm learning to acquire more of that mindset. Yeah.
We're all learning. Because there are times when you just feel like, no, this is it, I can't do it. But then it hits you back and then you're back on track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you started True Story Tent, which is an amazing platform, and I have heard quite a few stories.
Thank you.
A lot of people, who have registered with your platform. How did it come alive? That is number one. And number two, I personally want to know, what are the key learnings that you've had through the journey of True Story Tent that you can share with people?
Okay, so for how it started, because it's been told a lot, so just quickly.
Yeah.
It really started because of podcasts and listening to a lot of storytelling podcasts for the past way many years.
Yeah.
And I saw that in countries like the US and the UK, they had storytelling initiatives. I never even knew something like this existed.
Right.
And so just listening to these podcasts over and over again, I just wondered, would something like this even work in the Arab world? Where everything is aib, don't say this, don't do that, long story short, yes, it worked. And 25 events later, or gatherings later, and 3 years later, here we are with the podcast and hopefully the YouTube series that's coming out. So, I just glossed through that, but just go listen to the True Story Tent podcast to find out more.
Yes, please.
Key learnings, a lot. I guess when I started it, I knew that a huge benefit would be to the listener listening to the stories shared, because you listen to other people's experiences, you learn a lot. Yeah. What I didn't realize is the benefit to the storytellers. That it didn't occur to me how much benefit it would be from the storyteller's perspective. From the giver rather than the receiver.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because what I started to,
right? When people share it
is liberating. And I think what it does is when you ask somebody to come and share their story, particularly if you give them time to prepare, they are kind of forced to reflect back on their past experiences, which they may not otherwise do or have even been given permission to do so in such an active way. Yeah. Right? And so seeing how much benefit it brings to the storyteller, to me, was really like, whoa, there is something here. Because of the feedback. A lot of the feedback, the very positive feedback that I get from people is from mainly the storyteller's perspective. And it's also interesting to see when you're forced to reflect on your story and recall your story. I feel like that says, how you recall a story says a lot about how you perceive yourself and your life's experiences.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I can give you an example of, let's say you and your loved one go out on a date and it goes great, and you go to the beach, you have an amazing time, you have lunch, and now you're gonna go back home. And on your way home, you have a fight, and you're not talking to each other, and it gets very cold, and you both leave the car, and it's bitter. Now, when you look back at that experience, do you look back at what happened at the very end and perceive this whole experience as a negative one?
Yeah.
Or do you look at the majority of it, which was, it was great? You dipped your toes in the water, you laughed, you made silly jokes, you had a great meal. Do you look at that and perceive your overall experience as a positive one?
Yeah.
So when you reflect back, how you choose to tell your story is a reflection of how you perceived the experience that you went. So it says a lot about how you see yourself, how you see your past experiences. And hopefully, if you sit down and reflect on your story, maybe it will give you perspective. What you perceived as negative, now when you really look at it, no, actually, most of it was good.
Yeah.
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 So it's fascinating to me, and I feel like it never gets old. It never got old yet. I'm very excited to keep going and just waiting for this whole COVID situation to pass through.
You must continue doing this.
I love it. I will do it. I guess till it brings me down. We'll see.
And it's never going to bring you down. I hope and pray.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. So in life, there are so many contributors, right, to our own lives. And I believe that we are all stories at the end. We are all different stories. Now, whose life story has inspired you up until now? There can be many people, or you could pick your best.
Ooh, whose life story?
Oh, whose story? Because we're all living stories, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what you mean by that. Because okay, we all, I feel like stories are a way of communication.
Yeah.
I feel stories are a reflection of our lived experiences, but are we the sum of our lived experiences? I'm not quite sure, because some might argue that what we are goes beyond just what we have experienced so far. So yes, I agree with the idea to a large extent that we create our identities, most of us or majority of us, through our lived experiences.
Yes.
And when we communicate our lived experiences to people, those are stories, right? But are we the sum of our stories or lived experiences? I guess I will leave that to you or whoever is listening, depending on your belief and how you think about it. So who do I take inspiration from? A lot of people, definitely my mom played a huge role in my life. She's a kind of person that she raised us as a single mom primarily. And she was very proactive in doing so. If there's ever an issue one day, the next day she's out and about trying to find a solution to that. And I really admire that trait in her. Like, she's a doer and just get it done.
Yeah.
I'll think about it later. So I guess I'll stop there. I'll put my mom and just like leave it there. But there's a lot of people in my own family, and then a lot of people who are just famous for certain things that Yeah.
Well, that was deep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mothers forever. I think at home itself, the way we are brought up, we get inspiration from those people because it's their lives that we see so closely. Yeah. And other people we read about, but we've not lived with them. So there's so much more that we can take from people that we're surrounded by.
And what's interesting about getting inspiration from people that you're close with, you see them for all their good and all their flaws, which is very important. When you idolize someone like they're this mystical being that does nothing wrong, you're setting up yourself for failure. You're setting up yourself for like, you're never going to be good enough as this idolized image of this person. But when it's people who are in your own family and you can admire certain traits to them and really don't admire other traits, I feel like that's a healthy relationship to have with that. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. From your own life, forget about other people. Okay. From your own life, which is your favorite story?
From my own life.
Yeah. Your favorite.
My
Or maybe the
favorite
most
story.
difficult that has come to your life. Or your favorite.
Maybe my favorite story that I like to sometimes tell, it's definitely not the most profound or deep. It's just, it happened in high school. And I don't know, I don't even know why I like this story, but like I look back at it very fondly. I used to be a kid that draws. I don't draw anymore, but I used to be that kid in the corner of the classroom just drawing all the time. I was very antisocial. I had a whole phase where I fought a lot, and at some point I got to high school. Yeah, I was very violent as a kid. I'm talking to my therapist about it. But so at high school I was very introverted. I still am, but I was a lot more introverted, and I just kept to myself and drew. And I had a math teacher that was so strict, very unkind. Nobody liked him. I absolutely didn't like him, and I don't think he liked me. So I used to draw a caricature. I drew a picture of this teacher, him standing in front of a class, yelling at them, and then the speech bubble says, no one talks, no one breathes, no one looks at me, something along those lines. And then someone replies, shall we all just go outside then? That's it. It's not controversial, I don't think. There was nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I didn't write the teacher's name, I didn't curse. I give this picture to one of my classmates. The next day, I see copies of these pictures in all the different classrooms that this teacher teaches at. It went viral before the term viral was a thing, right?
Interesting.
I would say a few classes later, our door just bursts open, and here comes in the principal and vice principal. Everybody get out into the yard right now. We don't know what the hell is going on. We all go and stand in the backyard. And this guy pulls out this picture.
Who did this?
None of you are going home today until we find out who drew this picture. And I immediately just raised my hand. It's like, yes, Abdullah. It's like, I drew the picture. You drew the picture? I'm like, yeah. And then everybody go back in, go to the principal's office. And I go in the principal's office, like, Abdullah, I didn't expect this from you. I thought you're a good kid. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, no, but you drew this teacher, and I was really upset. It's like, yeah, I didn't write his name. I didn't curse in it. I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, but you need to go apologize to the teacher, or you'll get suspended. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not apologizing to him. Like, this ego kicked in me. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. You're infringing on my freedom of speech. That was the mindset that I was in. So I was totally against it. I remember I got my arts teachers. They stood up for me. I'm grateful for them. They're like, you should be encouraging kids who are expressing themselves through art rather than punishing them for it. So thank you if you're ever watching this. I doubt that they are. So it's like, we have to call your parents. So they called in my parents. My dad came that day. He told my dad the whole situation. My dad just listened patiently, took me outside and told me, you got a couple of years left till you graduate. What are you doing? Just go apologize. And I was like, okay. Begrudgingly. Yeah. So I go and find this teacher. My intention is to apologize to him. Now, I don't know if you're going to understand this part of the story because there is Arabic involved. I'm going to translate it. Yeah. So I come from a Zanzibari background. My Arabic, not that great. So my intention was to say to the teacher, I was already thinking, what am I going to say to him when I get there? I wanted to say, آسف لأني أحرجتك, which means, I'm sorry for putting you in this situation. I find him in the teacher's lounge. And when I get in front of him, instead of saying that, I said, أنا آسف لأني فضحتك, which basically means I am sorry for exposing you. It was not my intention. Not my intention to say. He flipped. you
are-
expose who the hell do you
Yeah,
think you
yeah.
are? Like he lost his mind. I felt like he was going to explode. And I'm like, I'm no, like, and he just walked away. And I walked back to the principal's office with my tails between my leg. And the principal said, "Did you apologize?" I'm like, yeah, I wanted to say آسف لأني حرجتك بالغلط by accident. I said آسف لأني فضحتك, and the principal died laughing. He died, and I was not laughing. I did not think any of this was funny at all. He told me, "Go to your classroom. I'm gonna talk to him," which he did. I got suspended for 3 days. But when I came back to school, I saw someone had written on our classroom's door, freedom of speech, and I was very proud of that.
Yes, yes. You know, that's how revolts and movements they start, isn't it?
Let's not
Through one
talk.
thing. I'm just saying in general. I'm
Not in
saying
this country.
Okay. Wow, that's interesting. No, we keep it. We keep it.
Yeah, sure, I don't mind. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, like I said, not the most profound story, but I don't know. I think of that fondly. I'm like, yeah, power to the people. Caricatures.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, in India, because we have freedom of speech, it's a democratic country. You see the incredible talent, the way they put forward the current situations. It's incredible to see the human talent. Yeah, it's amazing. In your lifetime, in this lifetime of yours, what is it that you want to achieve?
Oof.
Have you ever thought of it?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, to know the answer to what I want to achieve in my lifetime. So lifetime, we're thinking 10, 20, 30 years. I need to have a clear definition, first of all, of where I want to be heading, right? And to have a better understanding of where I want to be heading, I need to have a much clearer understanding of who I am right now and what kind of person I want to develop into.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm very much in like the middle of trying to figure all these things out. So if you're going to ask me where I'm going to be in 20 years, I don't know. I have interests and passions that I am pursuing now, but I think as far as I can see is 5 years at the moment. But like 20 years, because I've noticed, like if I look back at my life throughout like childhood to teenagehood to early adulthood to now I'm 30, what I wanted to pursue has always changed.
Yeah.
It changed with when I change as a person, you know.
Yes.
Coming back to your lived experience and the stories that you tell yourself, you live certain experiences and you tell yourself new stories that you haven't told yourself before, that shifts and forms who you are as a person.
Right.
And that directly translates what you want to pursue moving forward. For example, when I was 16 years old, it's like, when I'm going to be older, I'll be a millionaire. I learned very quickly, like, money does not drive me at all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that it's wrong to pursue it, you know, genuinely. I don't think it's necessarily wrong to pursue it. It's just, I thought that was a million reals. That is it. That is like, I made it. And now I'm picturing myself with 1 million reals. I'll be very comfortable.
Yes, of course.
But that's not where I'll stop. That's not the achievement, right? So there are other factors that I'm much more curious about achieving. And the 1 million reals, if I ever get it, please, Allah, in this Ramadan, then I'm much more able to pursue these other things. And these things, I assume, are not fixed. They're going to change with time. So I think the wisest thing for me to do at the moment is think 5 years in advance. Maybe like a rough 10 year, but 20, 30 years, it's impossible for me to see, really. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, I mean, normally, what I think is, in my life, what do I want to achieve? I want to achieve being kind, being at peace.
Yeah.
You know, trying to live one day at a time, but, you know, trying to make the most of my today. So this is what I want to achieve from my lifetime. And, of course, give back.
Yeah.
Every single day, whatever I can, give back.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
those are nice. Yeah, those are
Yeah, so it's not about
Those are
where I want to
timeless.
see
Those are
myself.
timeless.
Yes,
Yeah.
So even if my lifetime means the next 1 week, and if God has decided after 1 week, come back, at least in this 1 week, I want to still continue doing this. Or whether I live another 100 years.
Do you feel like you're there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every single morning, I wake up with the same, mindset and with re-emphasizing and telling myself, this is what I want. This is what I want. So I don't get hassled too easily. I'm chill.
Okay. And has it always been the case for you?
No, it hasn't.
When did the shift happen?
I don't know when it happened, but it has been a while now that it has happened.
Has it been a conscious shift or?
Conscious.
Okay.
So I tried meditating more, reading more.
Hmm.
So that has actually helped. Growing on the spiritual path has actually helped me become a better version of myself.
Okay, we're speaking before the show a little about spirituality and the definitions of it. So maybe you want to tell me a little bit about what the definition of spirituality is
Okay,
to you.
now is this like you interviewing me? you trying to do that?
It's no, I'm just curious. Because because I have a follow-up question, but I want to quickly hear about your definition of what spirituality is to you.
I think spirituality is different for each person. For me, I look at it that anything that contributes to the growth of my soul is nothing but spirituality.
Yeah,
so whether it's a person or a book or philosophy, if it helps me, evolve as a soul, that's spirituality for me. And as long as it does not make me think different of others, or have that line that I'm different and you're different.
As in I'm better.
I'm better, you're different, or you're not falling.
Because we're all different.
You're all different, yes. Yeah. But there are so many ways where we're similar too.
Yeah, yeah. I guess what you're saying is you don't want to see yourself that you're superior in any way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So what do you credit and I'm sorry for asking, maybe this was not what you intended, but I mean, I'm curious, or since we're recording it, we might as well. What do you credit the most out of all the things? You mentioned meditation and a bunch of to bring you the sense of peace that you have right now.
My parents, because the way they live and the way they think, they have been the biggest contributors to me even walking on the spiritual path. So
wow,
my parents.
Let's break the fourth wall and tell the audience that your mom is behind the camera right
she's
now.
She's right there. She's my friend. Hello, mommy.
And what is it about your parents then?
It's about how they implement everything that they learn. Okay, as you said, that they also have their flaws, but then they tend to set an example. They would tend to lead by an example, and they don't shy away from accepting mistakes.
And that example is what? Like, what is the core example that you feel like you live by in order to bring you peace? Like you mentioned earlier, being you feel like you're currently at peace and with gratitude, and it comes almost naturally to you right now.
No, I still have to.
You still consciously.
Sometimes, when I lose it, I have to still tell myself,
"Okay,
this is not going to matter.
Thank God.
This is not going to matter."
Can I just say, like, thank God that, like, okay,
I'm still human.
Yeah, because it makes it to me feel like okay.
No.
Yeah.
I'm still not there. Yeah. But it's each day. Each day I have to tell myself again and again.
That
it does not matter. Things don't matter.
Things don't matter.
Yeah. Things, sometimes even emotions, sometimes what someone does, we attach ourselves too much and we hassle ourselves too much with it. But it doesn't matter.
I think it's very fascinating when I meet people who seem to be at ease and at peace with themselves. And that's something that I'm definitely working more towards. So I'm very grateful when the things that I do with True Story Tent or whatever touches people's lives positively. And I feel like that brings me a sense of peace. But at the same time, there is a lot of internal battles that I am working towards. But I'm happy to say that I'm proactive about it. I'm not waiting around for things to get fixed. And so when someone comes and tells me that they're at peace, I'm very curious. Like, I'm genuinely curious, like, how? Everyone has trauma.
Yeah.
How are you overcoming it? I mean, we're not going to delve into it. This is not a therapy session. But you understand where I'm coming from. It's interesting to me. And then it's also very helpful to know that those who are at peace also struggle. I think that is really important.
No, of course. As I said,
Yeah.
Every day it's different. It's not like, but then majorly most of my day. This is how I am.
Yeah.
There are times when, of course, I get shaken up.
Mm.
But through life, I have learned that, as I said, it does not matter.
Mhm.
I think that if any situation comes my way, I do the math. Is it going to affect me after 5 years? Am I going to remember this? Would it still have an impact on my life?
Mhm.
If the answer is no, I don't think of it for more than 5 minutes. I just let it go. So this is the formula. Believe me, this is what I've started doing for over 2 years now.
Okay.
And I just take any situation, job, personal, professional, whatever,
Mhm.
with friends. Is it even going to matter after 5 years? Am I going to think about it? No, it's okay.
Yeah.
You didn't invite me for a party, or you're no, all these
Right.
things. I mean, I think we've just grown over it, and yeah.
The little petty things
Little
that
petty
used to mean a
things.
lot when you're younger.
Yeah.
Uh,
Now,
some-
if I don't meditate, if I don't read, if I don't pray, if I don't work out, then I know that yes, after 5 years, it will affect me if I continue with it, right?
Mm.
I will be in a bad position. So I think of it and I, realign my actions. But the other things, they don't matter.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And change is so constant, isn't it? We change, as you said about yourself as well, and even about when I asked you the question about people and the stories.
Yeah.
You said we keep evolving, we keep
Hopefully.
changing.
Hopefully. I don't. Yeah. I have a slight mistrust or distrust of people who feel like they're there. You know what I mean? Like they got it all figured out and they're set, because nothing is set.
Yeah.
You know. And
But then who are we to even judge? You
no,
never
it's
know.
not.
Maybe
It's
they
not.
are.
It's not a matter of judging. It's a matter of skepticism with me. I have, and I like to give everyone a benefit of the doubt, but I have a bit of skepticism because to have the mindset of you have arrived is also saying that you are not going to grow because
Yeah.
you have arrived.
Because that's it.
Yeah.
Not- yeah.
So I approach those situations with a healthy dose of skepticism, I think. But I try not to judge. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah. And actually, I think that's important in life. To not be like, yeah, I've achieved my goals. That's why in our Vedic philosophy, they say that what is a goal? A goal is not, oh, I need to have a house, or I need to own a car, or I want to get married or have a kid. That cannot be your goals. Because once you achieve it, then what's your purpose? Then you change to a new goal. What's your life's goal? It should be something like how you talked about True Story Time, that you want to continue doing it forever, because it keeps, your end limit keeps getting away. You haven't reached it. You haven't reached until the last person and heard their story. You haven't got the last person's story out to other people.
Yeah.
So it's a never-ending goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And that's
definitely
and that's
agree
what
with that
keeps
idea.
us going,
Yeah.
Because as you said, once you've arrived, once you're like, okay, Abdullah Al Maawali, True Story 10, reached 10 million people.
I am done with
done.
life.
I reached 10
I'm
million.
going to
That was my
find me a
target.
cave,
And then what after that then?
become a Buddhist, and just meditate for 24 hours a day.
That's also amazing.
I would like to try that. Maybe not 24 hours a day. I need sleep.
That's a little
But but I agree with you. I agree with finding these goals that are almost unattainable in a way, but you need to be able to feel a sense of achievement in the process, or else you're not going to continue. Yeah. So having these grand goals that are like a little big, so like stories from people in the Middle East, it's impossible to capture all of that.
Yeah.
But in the process, there's a lot of little achievements, right? Oh, we had another event. Now another event. Those are little achievements. 25 events now. Wow, that's a little achievement there.
Yeah.
We launched a podcast. Little achievement there. But the big goal of stories of the Middle East is almost unachievable. It's like, so I definitely see where you're coming from, and I totally agree with that. And there is a sense, I think, a lot of creatives feel that when you are approaching the end of a project, or even when you've done with the project, there is a sense of like a slight level of depression that creeps in, of almost like I've put all of my all of me into
Into
this
this.
for the past God knows how many months,
Now what?
and you're done with it, and maybe you'll celebrate in this launch, but the sense of emptiness that comes after that, whew, artists, if you have a solution to this, yeah, let me know, huh? But I think that's normal, and I think it comes from that same idea that you're talking about. So it's good also to go through these cycles. I feel like you shouldn't, especially as artists, you shouldn't numb yourself to these emotions and experiences.
Yeah.
But you need to be able to cycle out of it,
Right.
and that's how. And getting a bigger goal is the way.
Yes. And I think
Amongst other things, just to
Yes.
be clear, it's not the only way.
yes, absolutely.
yeah.
And I think if we all have those bigger goals in life,
Hmm.
we're good to go. You know, we would not be stuck up in those silly things, because then you have a higher purpose to live, or you have a bigger goal which will keep you going every single day. But yeah, this was amazing. I felt like I am on your podcast, not that you are on my podcast.
That's not
And-
true. If you were on my podcast, I'd definitely be asking way more
Way more
questions.
questions. I think we should do that then.
We should.
Sometime.
Yeah, come to a True Story Tent event, share a story,
Yeah.
and then we're gonna get you on the podcast to talk
Yay.
about your story. That's how it works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So
So
I
let's
look
just
forward
wait
to
for the
next,
yeah.
event.
We all are. Like, I'm looking forward to the next one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Abdullah. For
Thank
being
you for
on the
having
show.
me.
And
It's
again,
very
I
kind
would
of
like
you.
to say that I started podcasting, and I cannot take the credit all to myself, and I owe it to a lot of people, and Abdullah is one of them, because he has played his role in making this journey amazing. So thank
Well,
you so much, and I'm
that's
going to
really
be
kind.
forever grateful for this.
Thank you. Thank you.
So much for being you, and this is amazing.
Yeah.
I got interviewed, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If it has inspired you even slightly, then please like, share, and comment. See you on the next one. Until then, remember, our time is limited. Let's make the most of it.
Guys, Abdullah Al Maawali here.
Abdullah, just do it.
I can't. Okay, one more time. Guys, make sure. Hey, guys.
I'm sitting here. Guys, like, share, and subscribe to You Are Human on behalf of Abdullah Al Maawali.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thanks. I guess we're done.